Okay, so, we've been seeing a lot of buzz lately, and you send in some stuff too about where AI is going. And it's a pretty big question, right? Like, is this going to be amazing for us, or are we kind of, playing with fire a little bit? I think a lot of us are wrestling with that, and I definitely want to dig into all the material you share to try and make sense of it.
Yeah, I mean, it's everywhere you look now,
Yeah.
right? And the stuff you sent, it really lays out both sides. You've got people who are really excited about the potential, and then others who are, well, let's just say a little more cautious.
Yeah.
I think the goal today is to really get into the specifics of both sides and see what we can learn.
Right, exactly. Because it's not just some abstract thing anymore, is it? It's not just science fiction. Like, we're already using AI every day, probably more than we even realize. Our phones, our cars, the way we shop online, even in healthcare.
Yeah, totally. I mean, even just think about how our phones can recognize our faces or translate languages in real time. That's AI at work. And in medicine, it's being used to help doctors diagnose diseases earlier and even develop new treatments. And then there's the whole creative side too, like AI generating music and art.
It's pretty wild. But the material you sent also talks about this big shift that's happening, right, with something called generative AI. And this seems like a whole other level, right?
Definitely. I mean, this is where AI is actually creating new stuff, like writing text that sounds like a human wrote it, composing music, even designing products. Companies like OpenAI, Google DeepMind, these big players are really pushing the boundaries here.
And this is where that tension comes in, right? Because some experts are saying, whoa, hold on, this is moving way too fast. We might be losing control. But then others are saying, no, no, we're still a long way from AI being truly autonomous. So that kind of sets the stage for us, right? We need to look at both the incredible potential and the valid concerns about AI's future.
Absolutely. I mean,
Right.
that uncertainty is part of what makes this so fascinating. It's not like we have all the answers. But by digging into the different perspectives, the hopes and the fears, that's how we start to make sense of this whole AI landscape.
Okay, so let's start with the good stuff because there is a lot of it. You flagged this section in the material about the potential benefits of AI, and it's called Kale Yupini Halia Tola Bihu Yonika Patogara Karaiposa Umokatha, which basically means the bright side AI as humanity's greatest tool. And it really gets into how AI could revolutionize things, especially in healthcare.
Yeah, this part was really interesting. One of the things that really stood out was how AI could potentially detect diseases like cancer way earlier than we can now. I mean, imagine AI analyzing your medical scans and picking up on tiny details that a human doctor might miss.
Right, that's huge. And it talked about AI being used in drug discovery, too, which is such a long and complex process right now. And then, the idea of AI-powered surgical robots performing surgeries with incredible precision. It almost sounds too good to be true.
I know, it sounds pretty futuristic, but if you think about it, it makes sense. AI is really good at analyzing massive amounts of data and identifying patterns, which is exactly what you need for those kinds of applications.
Absolutely. And beyond healthcare, the material also talks about how AI could just make us so much more productive. Think about dangerous jobs like in mining or construction. AI-powered robots could handle those tasks, keeping humans out of harm's way.
Yeah, and even in less dangerous jobs, think about all the repetitive, boring stuff that we have to do. AI could automate those tasks, freeing us up to focus on more creative, strategic work. I mean, who wouldn't want to get rid of those tedious tasks?
Totally. And then there's education, right? The material mentions the idea of personalized learning experiences, where AI tutors can adapt to each student's individual needs and learning style.
I think that's really cool. It's like having a custom-made education plan for every single student.
Mhm.
Imagine if AI could help every kid reach their full potential, regardless of their background or how they learn best.
Right. It's like leveling the playing field. And it's not just about making our lives easier or more efficient, it's about tackling some of the biggest problems we face, like climate change. AI could analyze tons of data to help us predict weather patterns more accurately or optimize our energy grids to be more efficient.
Yeah, and even in agriculture, AI could be used to grow food more sustainably, using less water and fewer pesticides,
Yeah.
which with a growing global population is going to be crucial.
Absolutely. And then there's the thing that always blows my mind. The idea of humanoid robots, robots that actually look and act like humans. The material even mentions Japan, where they're already using AI robots to help care for the elderly.
I know, it's like something out of a movie.
Yeah.
But when you think about the aging population and the increasing demand for care, it kind of makes you wonder, Could this be part of the solution?
It's definitely something to think about, but, it's not all sunshine and roses. The material you sent doesn't shy away from the potential downsides either. It actually has a whole section called Okuglan AG TSA My Akagaine, which translates to the dark side, should we be afraid? And honestly, some of these concerns are pretty valid.
Yeah, I mean, it would be naive to think that AI is all good, right? We have to acknowledge the potential risks, too, if we want to have an honest conversation about the future.
Absolutely. And one of the biggest worries, and it's one that comes up a lot, is about jobs. Will AI powered automation eventually replace human workers and lead to mass unemployment? The material even poses this really stark question, and I'm going to try my best to pronounce this. तो सुबह को करा था तो को हुआ क्या रिक्शाना कर रहा है कहते हैं ऐसा लोग का दे तो है रे साबे से जो दबे तास का ला तो ना तो शाना करना चाहते सकती आता ना चाहते न्यो कर तांता तो चाहता शानो वो सांग कर ला ता चाहता रे तो जातला ता मैं क्यों जाता था तेरा ता तान चाहता ताले तारे संता चाहता जो सच्चा चाहता शाना करने चाहता तो तेरा ता सन चाहता तो या प्लाका के ता एता दने तो चाहता ता चाहता चाहता का चाहता the blights on down my comfort, then back to downtown sunset, so high sunset, so the sun, there's a fucking at the sunset, sunshine, the sunset, sunset, sunshine, the sunset, sunset, the sunset, Right, and that's not the only concern. The material also talks about the possibility of AI becoming too powerful, surpassing human intelligence and becoming something we can't control. It even mentions Elon Musk, who's been pretty vocal about this, warning about the potential dangers of superintelligent AI.
Yeah, the idea of AI getting smarter than us and potentially having goals that don't align with our own, it's a bit unsettling, to say the least. I mean, how do you control something that's more intelligent than you are?
That's $1 million question. And then, there's the use of AI in warfare. We're already seeing the development of autonomous weapon systems, which is a pretty scary thought. The material even asks this question. Well, I kind of go like, nah, basically, can we really trust AI to make life or death decisions?
It's a huge ethical dilemma. I mean, if we take humans out of the loop when it comes to using lethal force, what are the implications? Who's accountable if something goes wrong? It's something we need to be really careful about.
Absolutely. And then there's this more philosophical worry about the potential loss of human identity. If AI can create art, make scientific discoveries, write music, things that we currently see as uniquely human, what does that mean for us? The material asks this question. Which means, will we become so dependent on AI that we lose our creativity and purpose?
That's a deep one. It really gets to the heart of what it means to be human in a world where AI can do so much. How do we define ourselves and find meaning if machines can do all the things we used to think were special about us?
That's something I think we'll be grappling with for a long time. But okay, so we've looked at the potential benefits, the risks, and now the material shifts to this idea of finding a balance moving forward. It's a section called AKEA, which means the future finding balance. And this is where it feels like, okay, how do we actually navigate this?
Yeah, I think that's a really important question. It's not enough to just talk about the possibilities and the dangers. We need to figure out how to manage this technology responsibly.
Right. And one of the key things the material talks about is the need for controlled AI development, having clear regulations and ethical guidelines to prevent misuse and ensure that AI is used for good. And transparency is a big part of that, right? If we don't understand how AI is making decisions, how can we trust it?
Definitely. Transparency and accountability are crucial for building trust in any system, especially one as powerful as AI. We need to know how it's working and why it's making the decisions it's making.
Absolutely. And then there's this idea of human AI collaboration, which I think is really important. It's not about seeing AI as a competitor, but rather as a partner, something that can enhance our abilities and help us achieve more.
Yeah, I think that's a really healthy way to look at it. It's about leveraging the strengths of both humans and AI. Humans are great at creativity, critical thinking, empathy, and AI is great at processing data, finding patterns. Combining those strengths could lead to some amazing breakthroughs.
Absolutely. And finally, the material talks about the importance of education and adaptation. We need to prepare ourselves and future generations for a world where AI is going to play a major role. That means focusing on learning new skills and being adaptable.
I think that's key. The job market is going to change. There's no doubt about that. So we need to be proactive about learning new skills, and governments need to support those efforts and help people transition to new roles.
So I guess the big question that keeps coming up is AI a good thing or a bad thing? And I think the material we've looked at today suggests that it's really both. It's a powerful tool, and like any tool, it can be used for good or for bad.
Yeah, I think that's a fair assessment. It all comes down to how we choose to develop and use it. If we're thoughtful, if we prioritize ethical considerations, if we focus on collaboration, then AI has the potential to be incredibly beneficial.
But if we're not careful, if we just let it develop unchecked, then yeah, there's a real risk of things getting out of hand. And that brings us back to those final questions in the material. Will we use AI wisely, or will we ultimately lose control? As the material puts it, time will tell.
It really is up to us. We have the power to shape the future of AI. And that starts with having these kinds of conversations, with being informed, with asking questions, with demanding transparency and accountability from those who are developing and deploying this technology.
So, thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the world of AI. It's a complex topic, and honestly, it's one that I think we'll be talking about for a long time to come. But hopefully, this has given you some food for thought. And for you, our listener, as you go about your day, maybe consider this. What role do you want to play in shaping the future of AI? It's a future that we're all creating together.